Fellas, I got good news. There was so much bad news this week that unironically, sincerely, I've crossed a tipping point and I'm kind of depressed about the state of the world, which means I am giving up my role as the optimist of the show. Here's the Lemon of Optimism. I'm passing it to you, Aiden.
Awesome. This works well because I read no news this week.
Hey, so from your perspective, it's looking good.
Just checked out. I've, you guys can be Banjo.
Yeah.
I'll be Kazooie.
You're Kazooie. You're in the backpack.
Except I can't fly.
Yeah, you have no skill.
And I've got a heartwarming anecdote to bring to the show. I went to a Clippers game last week, and there was 3 groups of high school students sitting in the 2 rows in front of us and the row behind us. And they were all sports betting on their phones their entire game.
Optimism.
And that's why this episode is sponsored by DraftKings.
Optimism.
Yeah, I'm joking. I was just like, so I thought that was pretty great. It's like getting out there, hanging out with your friends, losing money you don't have, getting addicted to predatory apps. I thought that was
He's
nice.
not doing a good job with the optimism.
I feel like
I thought that was nice.
You thought that was nice. It brought people together.
This is how the Lemon of Optimism works,
You know,
right?
they were in person hanging out. They weren't like...
Exactly. And sports gambling brought them together.
Brings people together.
So it does have benefits. It does have benefits.
This third space for Gen Z is DraftKings.
We don't need physical third spaces because they can just gamble on the app.
Yeah. If you're in a Discord server with your boys gambling, it's as good as the real thing.
So big updates today. We got the Clippers game. Anything else happening?
I think
Clippers game,
so far in January, there
Lakers
hasn't been that
game.
much outside of the 2 basketball games you just mentioned.
Oh, it was my birthday? We're going to talk about that for 45 minutes?
Birthday.
45 minutes on that.
Shake Drizzle's birthday.
And then I guess very slightly, if we can squeeze it in, because that's a lot of big stuff, we might squeeze in the fact that the president is trying to possibly declare war on Greenland and begin an unwinding of the transatlantic
for
order.
Greenland. Big difference.
Language matters.
Okay? It's for the future of Greenland. Yeah.
And there's so many angles we can take this from, but I think it'd be fun to talk about the wildest, most cartoonish one. Let me pull up this letter.
Actually, a lot of these are wild and cartoonish.
Yeah, I guess they're all pretty wild and cartoonish. But this one, for me, you know, it's hard to be surprised lately by something that happens in the world or something that Trump does. And I thought when I saw this that it was fake. I legitimately saw it and I saw someone made this up and it's like, come on, guys, there's enough real things to criticize. Can we not make up a fake letter?
Yeah.
And then it was verified. So this is a real letter from Donald Trump to the leader of Norway. Again, reminder that the Nobel Peace Prize is not figured out in Norway. And he's attacking Greenland, which is owned by Denmark. Okay. All right. Considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace. By the way, full stop, very funny. That's a very funny sentence because it implies that the only reason you are purely thinking of peace is because of the Nobel Peace Prize. And in fact, if you don't get it, now war's on the table.
Well, question, is there a Nobel War Prize?
Yeah, well, I think
he just wants to end a war.
It's so funny to be like, because you refuse me the prize, I will now shoot for the war prize. It's my only option.
Since I can't get the peace
I
one,
need an award.
I have to get the consolation war prize.
Winning the Nobel Peace Prize like at gunpoint is so funny.
Which he did. We're going to get to that, which is what actually basically happened.
Wait, hold on. I want to quickly clarify. The Nobel
Okay.
Peace Prize is not decided by the country of Norway,
That's right.
It is by the Nobel Association.
It's a committee. It's a Nobel committee.
Okay.
This guy has no sway over. And again, this is in response to a tension rising over Greenland, which is Denmark. It's okay. Although it'll always be predominant, but now I can think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. Denmark cannot protect that land from Russia or China. And why do they have a, quote, right of ownership anyway? There are no written documents. It's only that a boat landed there hundreds of years ago, but we had boats landing there also. I have done more for NATO than any other person since its founding, and now NATO should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. Thank you, President DJT. I legitimately thought this was fake. It is cartoonish.
President DJT.
So he's stoked about that. Lemon of Optimism. It's
Lemon of
Optimism. He's
Optimism.
you're kind of turning around on
It
this.
sounds like we're all coming together.
Yeah,
Scandinavia and the United States, closer than ever.
right. And I think that argument
Aim
about
gaming,
the boat.
fast-tracked visa. It's all looking good.
No, we were walking here and Aiden was doing a funny Swedish voice, making fun of his visa team because they will not. You were like,
Because they're just really slow in the response. And I was like, hello, I am Astrid. I just got off my 45-day vacation. I haven't been able to look at your application. But
so
yeah,
he's trying to get out.
You
I
gotta
get it.
send him one of these letters.
I get
Aiden.
it. I'm just getting a little antsy.
Because considering you decided not to give me the visa, I no longer feel obligated to purely
I know
peace.
we're-
Send that to them.
You know what?
what I
Fuck those vacation laws if I can't have them.
all right, one more Nobel thing. We talk about Greenland. Greenland is like the kickoff here because it's major. We've talked about it last week, but so much has happened since.
So I don't know. Okay, sorry.
There's
go
big
ahead.
implications.
This is to me the wildest that it's gotten. This is the
I
culmination.
think it is one of the. Yeah, I think it is probably, at least for me, it's the dumbest thing. The single dumbest. Like I don't see the upside. But just as a note, because we're on the Nobel subject real quick. In the past week, since our last episode, Donald Trump did receive the Nobel Prize as a gift from Maria Machado. Congratulations. Congratulations.
So I have a quick question. Is
Yeah.
that how it works?
So that was a question that had not been answered until this. Look how happy he is, though. Can you?
Wow.
Look how I've never seen Trump cheese like that. He is happy. She showed up. A little context here is that she and her party, I guess, won the election in Venezuela, rightfully. Maduro ignored it, retained power. Trump swooped in, kidnapped Maduro, took him back out. And there was sort of this expectation that perhaps she would be the person that he would try to give power to with this newfound control. He did not. He said she had no respect in Venezuela, and the power is transferred to Maduro's VP, Delcy Rodriguez. And the same party is still in control of Venezuela. There was a leak from the Washington Post that said some part of that may have had to do, and again, this is speculation, may have had to do with the fact that Trump was miffed that she got the Nobel Prize and he didn't. Sounds crazy, but you read the letter like the Greenland thing, and it's like, it doesn't sound that crazy anymore. So I think in response to that leak, Maria Machado went to the White House on a diplomatic mission and presented it as a gift, hoping that perhaps he would then favor her in the election that she won and have some power in her own country. It is fucking insane, Aiden. I don't know how you can. Yeah.
So, Lemon of Optimism.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you guys about a dream that I had as a young man.
It's good. I feel like we're really both sidings thing.
18-year-old me had a
Yeah,
dream.
This is like a Martin Luther
Had a
King type
dream.
thing.
That he would get accepted into. He did not think about how he would pay for it because he didn't have a way if he got in.
Okay.
But he dreamed of doing his undergrad at the University of California, Berkeley.
Okay.
He did. And there happens to be someone that I work close with now who's very successful, who graduated from that university, sitting feet away from me.
Okay.
And I think this means that you could just give me your degree and that would be, I'll have fulfilled my dream. I feel like I deserve it.
Yeah.
I will do
And
that
I've been
if
sending
you elect me
angry letters to the
president of Lemonade
to the
Stand.
to the PM of Norway, actually, about how I didn't get into Berkeley.
Just pick any Scandinavian country and
If this flies, I feel like that makes sense.
so you asked the question.
I have a plan to win the Super Bowl. The trophy apparently is not that guarded.
Yeah, you can practice football your whole life, huge pain in the ass, or you could sneak in and grab the trophy. So the Nobel Committee hadn't really encountered this. They had to put out a thing on the 9th of January saying, hey, just as a reminder, you cannot transfer or give your Nobel. It is only to the person awarded it in perpetuity. But that being said,
Can we update the blockchain?
that was my first question. How does the blockchain get involved? So anyway, so the Nobel has clearly been on his mind because the letter he wrote was after this. So he got the Nobel. As far as he's concerned, he owns it. It is in his hands. but he doesn't feel good enough. So he sent a letter to Norway saying, because I didn't get the Nobel Prize, I'm now the war guy, and Greenland's on the table. And he's been constantly hammering this Greenland thing. And so we talked about it a little bit last week, but in response to them not immediately caving and giving him Greenland, he rolled out a massive tariff on 9 European countries. Well, actually, it's 10% tariff, but rising. And I don't know if you want to take it from here, Doug, but this is okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you pull this up, this is the Truth Social. Again,
Jesus Christ.
something to me, this is on the 17th, so a couple days ago. This goes so far beyond everything else. I've actually been trying to understand why, and maybe you guys have theories. So he clearly states that it's time for Denmark to give back world peace at stake, and says we are going to, on February 1st, put a 10% tariff on Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the UK, the Netherlands, and Finland. It will be increased to 25% on June 1st, 2026, and this tariff will be in place up until we get the complete and total purchase of Greenland. So this is just full on using tariffs to bully the EU into giving us Greenland.
Fully on board with this, except Sweden. It doesn't really feel like Sweden should be carved out. They didn't really do anything. Lemon of Optimism. We get, we get Sweden out of this.
So,
Because we wouldn't want anything to hold up the immigration department in Sweden right now.
You'd
We
want-
wouldn't
you
want
want
anything
good
to
US-Swedish
impede
relations.
or distract.
because there's been a trade deficit. More Swedes have been coming here. We got to get
Right.
rebalances. We got to send some Americans over
We
there.
just send some
Chuck
Americans that
over
way.
there.
Right?
And that'd be really nice. I think that's something you're for. I think.
I'm very pro.
Now, this got pretty universal criticism, as you can imagine. This is just kind of fucking insane. This is really the first time where the tariffs have not been, there hasn't been the purported reason of stopping fentanyl or trade deficits. This is just straight up, we want you to give us your land. And this is to NATO, our ally. This is not to Venezuela. It's not to China. It's not to, this is our allies. And he's threatening our allies with tariffs because we want their land, some of which aren't even necessarily relevant to this. Like, what does Sweden have to do with Greenland exactly? I'm not sure.
Exactly, Doug. What does it have to do? Nothing. Nothing, Doug.
Drop behind you 100%. Just you made a typo.
Get the Swedes out of there.
So there's a couple, as you can imagine, the response to this has been pretty universally negative on the free press. Any left-leaning of any kind, person or institution, has been like, what the fuck is this? This is absolutely insane. Including right-leaning publications as well, like the Free Press posted a pretty negative article on this. And that Free Press is very right-leaning for context, but I think it's interesting that a right-leaning article came out about this. They were like, despite all the recent foreign policy wins of Trump, this one isn't hitting the mark. I'm like, okay. There's a great one here. Chase Passive Income on Twitter said, now it's going to cost 10% more to buy Greenland since it's a product of Denmark. Not a great move. And even Mr. Senator Kennedy says a Republican senator had some choice words for this.
To invade Greenland and attack its sovereignty, a fellow NATO country, would be weapons-grade stupid.
Yeah, he's not.
President Trump is not weapons-grade stupid.
Well, it's not.
Nor is Marco
Rule anything out.
Rubio. That's all I'm going to say on Greenland, but there will be more to happen with respect to Greenland.
This is a big shift in the vibes. This is coinciding with potentially the Supreme Court overruling tariffs coming soon. We'll chat about. Comes at the back of Davos, which is happening, world leaders meeting. And Trump did this like right before meeting with all of the leaders. Everybody's kind of criticizing this and going, what is about to happen? And is this going to blow up NATO, the North American alliance that has held true for 80 years?
Yeah, World War II on.
Yeah. So there's a lot to go off of here. I got a couple points. We can start on the tariffs and the legality, but anything jump out to you guys first?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you mentioned Republicans. So this has been, of all of Trump's actions, maybe the most unpopular with Republicans, in that there was a thing from The Guardian that a number of senior Republican congressmen and senators approached Trump and said, if you actually go through with this, as in military boots on the ground in Greenland, it will be the end of your presidency. It will be impeachment. It'll be, so it's like, there's a hard line from them on that, though he hasn't softened in his talking about it at all since this discussion. Even all the There's the financial angle where stocks and bonds are both sold off today in response to this action. There's a lot of angles. I mean, one more angle is you kind of made a joke of like, Mr. President, I'm behind you 100%. You just type it on Sweden. But like that is the language I'm seeing from a lot of people, which is right here. Here's I forget his first name, Tillis, but
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And to be clear, I'm not critical of the president. I'm critical of the bad advice he's getting on Greenland.
Okay, well, let's.
It's this idea of like, I'm not critical of Trump. Trump's perfect. He's doing everything great.
Of course.
But someone's giving him bad advice on Greenland. And it's just like, I don't know that that's the case. It feels like this is his.
I feel bad for Trump. He's helpless in the face of this bad advice. What's a guy to do?
What is a guy to do? And we were talking about this last week, but I mean, maybe you have an angle on this. I'd love to see this map here.
Yeah, so Wall Street Journal came out with an article I thought was really good.
Okay.
Called Why Greenland Matters to U.S. Defense in 7 Maps. And essentially, if you look at normal, what is the Monter projection? I forget the name of it. The
Mercator, right?
Mercator projection. Yeah. The way we normally look at maps, like, has everything kind of distorted. But if you actually look at a globe at the top, Greenland is basically right in between North America and Russia, right? And so this map in particular, which you can see if you're on the YouTube side, basically from Washington D.C. to like 100 different spots on Russia, it's going to go essentially over Greenland. So in the case that missiles are firing either from the US to Russia or from Russia to the US, and these are intercontinental, Greenland is right there. From a strategic standpoint, it makes sense that if you were the US, you would really, really want this. Even the case with China, one of the routes that they would theoretically send missiles is over Russia and then to America, over basically the top of the globe. So this map, I think, does help clarify things. It's not random. I was confused about this last week of like, why the importance of Greenland? It's because on a traditional map that we look at, it doesn't seem that important. It doesn't seem like it's in between anything, really.
Everything's so much closer than you realize. Like this region is so important militarily and because of trade and.
Yeah. Another crazy thing on this. So we've talked about, and many people are making the argument of, the U.S. already has military bases on Greenland, and we have permission to make military bases on Greenland.
Yeah.
Why do we need to own it? So what's interesting is historically, there's been 25 different stations or bases on Greenland that America has had over the years, but that's down to just one right now. There's only one base. Mm-hmm. So objectively, the U.S. has way less presence than we've had at any previous point. It's something like...
Because we had dismantled a lot of these bases or operations in the wake of the Soviet Union falling, I believe.
Yeah, basically during the Cold War it peaked. Yeah, so exactly what you said. Today we have 150 troops there, down from 15,000. So there is a massive scaling down. And then if you're in this world where like we are in a direct potential conflict with Russia and China, it makes sense that you would want to have a lot of presence there. And yes, I think we could trust Denmark/Greenland to let us build a bunch of bases. But, if you're playing Psycho Risk, then maybe you feel like, no, we should just own it. I mean, like, given the option, you would prefer that as the U.S. Is it worth blowing up the whole alliance? Probably not, I would say. It's particularly funny to blow up the alliance.
I mean, I think definitely not. Right? That's what I'm saying.
Hold on. To be clear, it is definitely not a good idea. Right. The idea that you need to blow up your alliance so that you can protect yourself and NATO from Russia makes no sense. If you lose the allies you're supporting.
Lemon of Optimism. You don't need an alliance if you own it all.
But you only own Greenland.
But we start with Greenland.
Oh! You're saying full-on world empire.
Yeah, the global American empire where it's officially all owned by us. Of course. Of course.
That's not optimistic to me.
And if you're watching this show for the first time right now, I believe that fully. Yes. And it's clear through my view expressed across all the episodes of the show is that I desire that as an individual.
You've always been a pro.
Yep, and I've been pro-American. And I really want to own it.
Yeah,
I just think
that's why you're fleeing to Sweden, is so you can be advanced.
I'm the tendril. I'm the tendril. I'm a little suction cup that they're sending to Sweden. So it becomes
You're gonna scout
America
around, send back information. Mm-hmm. No, I mean, look, it just doesn't make a damn bit of sense. I don't know, and I'm not even. This is not just me. This is like I read a lot. I read a guy. Oh, I wish I had his name in front of me. Geopolitical strategy guy, a guy who has made his entire career of like. He did a bunch of articles during Biden of saying like Republicans are being, I'm gonna at least tell you what he's thinking. Like no matter how crazy you think Biden is being on this or this or this, this is what the strategy is. He did the same for Trump up until this. This is the first time. The title of his piece on this was like, I really don't know with this one. It's like, it really doesn't make, like, there's no good reason, especially when you could scale up everything you're doing in Greenland. I mean, if they hit the limit, then maybe you talking. If you scale up to 25,000 troops again, you're building bases and you're mining minerals, and then Denmark goes no, then okay, you maybe don't, but you're nowhere near that. And Denmark was being super open about anything we wanted to do. And it is just causing such economic and geopolitical pain immediately for no real reason. And nobody wanted this. There was a funny tweet that I saw that was like, Europe, I don't know if European leaders understand how much the average American desires Greenland. Was the joke, which is like, they don't. Before this thing from Trump, there was zero polling that anyone cared or wanted this. It was not
been torturing me.
It's
I can't even pay attention to the Clippers game. I have to distract myself with sports bets to get over the misery of not having Greenland.
It's like I don't know. It just feels like if we have Alaska on the one side, then on the other side, it should be ours too.
But I think that's what he's thinking. And I know it sounds crazy, but then you read these letters and it's like, I think he just wants the map to look cool. Mm-hmm. And
he clearly just wants to have the legacy of he got a giant piece of land.
Yeah,
right?
that is
Trump clearly
thing. Yeah.
what's going on.
But that's crazy.
Yeah, it's just crazy. All right. Okay, so what is the EU doing?
Okay,
the EU is not fucking okay with this. And they are basically now debating, like, what are we going to do to retaliate? So there's a thing that they have called the Protection Against Coercion. I forget the exact name of the anti-coercion instrument. There is a tool that basically the EU has that they passed a few years ago in 2023 that says that they can, it's actually kind of funny. They have to like come up with all these commissions. It's very bureaucratic. But essentially, if they decide that they're being coerced into something that they don't want to do, they can take a wide variety of financial actions, let's say. And that could include things like selling off United States assets. So the EU owns a lot of the US stock market and of our treasuries. The EU actually invests a lot. And there's some good quotes by folks who are like, yeah, the problem with the US is like they depend on other people to fund everything. Like, as a reminder, we're in debt and we spend more than we make every year. We need other people to give us money. And so they're considering some pretty extreme options. So some interesting facts about this. The EU holds about 40% of foreign US treasuries. So if they stop buying our treasuries, we can't raise money as easily, and then we have to pay more for that money, which would be a big deal. That being said, that sounds bad, and then I looked it up. Foreign treasuries are only 25% of all treasuries. 75% are held domestically. So to put that different, of all US treasuries, the EU holds about 10% of them. But still, that's a lot. The EU holds trillions of dollars of US stocks and bonds and could sell them, but the majority are held outside of the government. They're private. So the EU could like force this big sell-off to hurt the American economy, the American stock market, but it's going to be a lot of pain for EU. But in theory, that's something that Trump is like extremely sensitive to, right? Is markets. And so they could put these huge pressures on him. And there's some crazy quotes. The Dutch Bank AG chief global currency strategist is talking about, in quotes, the weaponization of capital from the bank's global head of currency research. In an environment where the geopolitical stability of the Western alliance is being disrupted existentially, it's not clear why Europeans would be willing to play this part. Macron from France is requesting that they activate this anti-coercion instrument and take extreme steps where we're basically going to like start a massive trade war between the EU and the United States. They're calling on no longer approving the trade deal that was approved, that was supposed to happen in June.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, that was like a big victory for Trump last year where he's like, we got this awesome trade deal. They're going to like potentially vote to not do that. The counter, though, is Germany, where German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said that Germany is really dependent on exports. So he said, France is affected by the American tariffs to a different extent than we are. So it's understandable that he wanted to, in quotes, react a little more harshly than we do. Nevertheless, we are trying and succeeding in adopting a common position. Basically, is the EU willing to massively hurt themselves economically in order to try to punish Trump?
Well, the thing is, they're both hurt. That is the problem. That's why this seems so beneficial to like Russia and China. The fact that we are ripping apart this close transatlantic alliance for no real gain on either side is foolish. And it's driving, not necessarily Germany, because they don't have a lot to sell to China, and China's selling a lot to them. But other EU countries are now opening up to China. And, there's the big story this week of Canada. Canada opening up to China. Carney made a deal with Xi to allow Chinese electric vehicles. They had a 100% tariff on Chinese EVs in Canada because America asked them to, and they got rid of it for at least the first 50,000 vehicles or whatever. And that's, what I'm saying? And he said, Carney has been like out there saying basically the old global order is dead. I can't work for a world that I want to be. I have to work for the world that is right now. And I have to diversify our trade so that America doesn't have 100% pressure on it. I think that we're completely reliant on them. So he's making deals with South America. They're making deals with Europe, and they're making deals with China. And all other countries are doing similar things. They're just trying to. I'm less worried about this short-term selling off our debt or selling off stocks than I am every country just de-risking, just finding different routes for everything so they're not as reliant. Because that is the one.
They're eroding the superpower that you talked about last week. You said one of the superpowers is the position of the US dollar is like the global reserve currency and the place of like financial importance that we have as a country. And all of these things add up as huge chips away at that superpower. Like the US is losing one of the three things that keeps it as like the dominant player. And in a broad sense, maybe you could argue that, you don't think it's like ethical for the U.S. to have that power in the first place, and that may be the case. But right now, it's like the U.S. intentionally dismantling.
Yeah,
almost.
It's just like you want the leader of your country to play their cards well, right? It's just like that. Whether or not they should have those cards, that's stuff for the rest of the world to figure out. But the Americans should not be dismantling their own things that benefit their citizens. It doesn't make any sense. It's just anyway. Can you pull this picture up? You mentioned Macron.
It's been sitting on your computer.
Because Macron had to wear these glasses the entire time at Davos, and it's very funny.
What?
This is the president of France, and apparently he had an eye condition or something. So every speech you're talking about he's been giving, he's had to do it indoors with these glasses
With these aviators? Wow. It looks great.
He has not been seen without these the entire last few days, and it is very funny.
It's kind of tight.
So maybe that's why he's winning over versus Merz in this EU battle over how to be tough.
How to respond to Mr. Trump.
Yeah.
Dude, it makes me think of when the tariffs were first starting a year ago, and you pointed out if you wanted to, for example, get the whole world to collaborate and coordinate on doing tariffs on China that are very targeted in order to make sure that there's like security and that Chinese exports are not destroying all of these different industries around the world, that would make sense, but you would need world coordination to do it.
Yeah.
Right? And so we discussed that a lot. And literally as a result of Trump like bullying everybody is now moving to make direct relationships with China and to decouple from the US. And like this is such a good example. The fact that this deal was just signed between Canada and China, and they're now saying we weren't taking your electric cars, we're now taking them. I mean, that's like, we're just.
What?
Look at this in my hand, the Lemon of Optimism.
Okay.
He's crawled his way back into the conversation.
Okay.
He says that Eamon Gaiman doesn't need to get a visa for the China trip anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing like
That's
visa
pretty
travel.
awesome.
Yeah, you're right.
Whoa.
They're doing visa-free Canada.
Visa-free for So if you think of it, that's pretty sick.
Everything's coming up, Aiden.
It's coming up, Aiden.
Aiden, let me
It's
give
like
you-
if he just takes Sweden off the list, then I haven't stopped winning.
Support for Lemonade Stand comes from Adobe Acrobat Studio.
Guys, I have an actual thing that I have been using lately that it actually helps me. If you have let's say I'm still in school. This is an example for people that are tiny little baby children like Aiden. And you have a book that you need to read or 18 pages or
You
whatever.
didn't read books at school. Don't lie to us.
Not
You
more
read
than 18
the
pages.
comments in
I
your
read
league
Clifford.
matches, all right?
You can put that in a PDF into Adobe Acrobat PDF Spaces, and it will generate it'll generate a podcast for you or a presentation for you that you can then use to summarize and understand the takeaways from this longer.
It's
piece of
actually
writing.
amazing for learning.
It
straight
literally
up.
is just like you can have it generate a quiz for you. It's like it is a helpful thing for summarizing a very large document that's in a PDF. It's a useful.
You need resources for your baby mind, but I consume the material in one go and I keep it all in my head. That's how I keep everything so straight and easily managed in front of me.
You're
It
always
is a
saying
disaster communicating with you. Be like Atrioc. Use Adobe. Learn more at adobe.com/do that with Acrobat. And now you can use PDF Spaces to learn so much more from your files, man.
Be forgetful. Be free.
He's just channeling
Don't
Ludwig
follow
right
the constraints of
of the office and the workspace that I'm working in.
make your coworkers mad.
Aiden.
Yeah. I've been meaning to tell you something.
Oh.
Me and Doug, ever since we started the show, we put a keylogger on your laptop for like a week. For like a
on
week.
my laptop.
And it turns out you use the same login information for all of your accounts, which is pretty funny for one.
Okay.
But then we stole that.
Yeah.
And then we got your social security number and we started applying to a lot of loans with your information,
Yeah, I was
which
worried.
is
My credit
hilarious
score
because it's
has
like
gone-
what friends do, right?
It's gone
it's
really
what friends
bad,
do
and
with
my
each
accounts
other.
are empty, and I've been really stressed about it.
Yeah, don't worry though.
Yeah.
Don't worry though. It's like you're compromised. You may as well
Is
give
there
up.
a way I can stop this from happening in the future?
You can't because it's so far gone. but for you at home who's worried about your friends taking advantage of you, or just the much more likely scenario of your identity or your information being stolen online, you can check out Cloaked.ID.
Go to cloaked.com/lemonade. Take your free privacy scan. And if you choose to subscribe to Cloaked, use code LEMONADE for 30% off your Cloaked subscription.
And it's not too late for you. It's only
This
too
is
late
really
for
bad.
Brandon.
Like, you've done so much damage to my.
Stop looking at it.
Okay, so I looked at the press release from Canada, okay? So big one is they're reducing the tariffs on the cars, right? They go from, instead of 100% tariffs down to 6% tariffs, right? But there's a couple other things that China agreed to start like buying more from Canada. And as a Canadian, I want to hear your thoughts. First off, China is lowering tariffs on Canadian canola seed oils.
Oh, that's big. That's big. My grandfather makes that.
Apparently
The seed oils.
$4 billion seed market.
Deep
Isn't that
ties
kind of
to
a
the seed.
beast trade? Canada gives them seed oils and they get cool EVs.
Yeah, that's tight.
No. It gets better. Canada is now expecting, so China's going to drop these discrimination tariffs on lobsters.
Big for Nova Scotia.
This is straight
big
up from
win for
Carney.
Nova Scotia.
Apparently, lobsters are so big in the Canadian economy that he chose that specific. Hold on. Lobsters and crabs. And can you guess the third one? These are three things that are listed as important exports that China is going to take in more of.
I mean, I feel
It's the big three. The big three.
Surely it's timber or oil.
It's the big three: lobsters, crabs. That's right, and peas.
And peas?
Peas, lobster, crabs, and peas. So
I mean, it
big,
couldn't
big
be oil
day for
'cause
the
they
pea
can't.
farmers.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Peas.
Wow.
Wait, can I say something? So Carney, I've been listening to him talk about this a lot. I've listened to all his speeches over at Davos and about this.
He started in French.
And I do think that Carney is the smartest Western leader right now. I think he's by far the smartest.
Much
think-
like all of his countrymen.
No, that's not.
The most intelligent, average highest intelligence across the spectrum.
I think he truly
The best
understands.
flag.
I think, in fact, most Canadians are dumb as hell. And they got very lucky with him. I think he actually gets it in a way that other leaders are only going to take a while to catch up on. And one thing that he is like screaming, basically, in the nicest way he can, is that he sees the G7, which is the big Western economies, they're debt-fueled, bubbly, speculative economies that they've had for a while, that have kind of run the world, are coming to an end. He basically says that like the era of printing currency, G7 dominance is coming to an end. It's just happening. And I am adapting to a new world where we need to use the hard resources we have, not the financial ones. So Canada is very wealthy in resources. They have a lot
peas.
They have peas, they have lobster, and
Peas,
they have
lobster.
oil, and they have timber. And they are going to export these things while they have value in order to improve the tech of the country. That like he's figuring out that like the old ways of just printing money to keep like a real estate based economy it's not going to work. It's coming to an end. It's going to pop. It's in trouble. And he is basically saying that we are going to use our resources at the values they are to get. And the smart thing he's doing, by the way, with the EVs, he's doing what China did when they were starting to get rich. Is if Chinese EV companies want to sell in China, right now they can just ship them for the first 40K cars, but then they have to come in and make a joint vehicle, a joint, I forget the word
Like
every
a
time.
tandem bicycle.
Joint venture?
A joint venture. So a Chinese company like NEO or like BYD has to set up a joint company in Canada with a Canadian company that has 51%. And then they have to teach them how to build the EVs. And like, that's what China did to start moving up the ladder. And Carney's forcing them to do it here. It's like, it's trickling back down out of China to Canada. I mean, it's a smart play. He's thinking forward. And everyone else is driving headfirst to the cliff. And I don't know if you want to talk about bonds because it really ties into this. Like, this is like,
Well,
Okay.
the main story I'd seen was from earlier this morning, which was that the Denmark pension fund, which holds $100 million in U.S. treasuries, is starting to sell their position. They are saying it's not directly related to the ongoing rift between the U.S. and Europe, but that it actually has to do with the instability and lack of faith in the U.S.'s finances. Like, they are publicly saying this is because of poor financial management by America. And we are reacting to that. But it is coming at the same time as all of this Greenland action unfolding. And it's hard to imagine that is not also playing a part in the choice of this action. But Denmark is just one country, and $100 million in bonds is, a significant amount of money, but maybe not as much in like a global context. But I think the fear from my memory is Canada had weaponized this in a conversation with Trump earlier last year when the rhetoric about Canada for 51st state had really heated up. And Carney had said they were going to sell the bonds, or alluded to the idea that they were going to sell all of their U.S. Treasury bonds. And this is, at the time for Canada, their successful way, seemingly, of like toning that down or getting Trump to like chill out. So this is the financial lever that these countries can react with. It's like, does selling our bonds get you to move the needle or change your take on this at all?
yeah. So I want to talk about this. So can you pull up this graph? We're probably aware of this. Maybe people watching are also aware of this. But right now, in the amount of money the government spends every year, about 15% of that goes to interest on our debt. We have 30 something trillion, 37 trillion. I don't know the number. A lot of debt.
Yeah.
And it's at an average interest rate of 3.3%, because some of it's long-term. Some of it we got at lower rates for 20 years. Some of it we got it last year for whatever. But it's average of 3.3%. And so we do 14% of our deficit is on interest. And so when people stop buying U.S. debt, the borrowing cost goes up. Right now, I think it's like for a 10-year, it's like 4.5%, 4.2 or whatever.
It's a little, 4.2.
And we have a lot of debt so imagine like if I'm broke as shit and I have very little income and I borrow $100K from you and I'm going to pay $50 a month in interest. And at the end of the year, I have to give you the $100K back. Okay. So I can afford $50 payments. So I pay it every month. End of the year, I don't have the money to give you the $100K because I spent it. I bought a Ferrari and I bought a gun and I bought whatever. So I have to borrow another $100K to pay you back. And then I just do it again. I pay $50 to that guy. That is what we do with all of our debt. We never pay it off. We always roll it over. We just, at the end of the year, we roll it over. And what the interest rate is when we roll it over matters a lot. We have a lot of debt that's about to come due, they're about to roll over, and our borrowing costs are going like this. They're going vertical with all this geopolitical tension because people don't want to loan us money at 4% or 4.5%. It's going to 4.6, 4.7. Every percent that goes up is another $300 billion here. Yeah. $300 billion is equivalent to the Department of Education, Department of Homeland Security, and Department of State combined.
And AirPods combined.
AirPods. Can't forget about AirPods.
So right now it's at 3.3% of our interest. If that went to 4%, that means we can no longer, assuming we don't, change anything, we can't afford Department of Education, Department of Homeland Security, Department of State. If it goes to double, we can't afford a military. Like that's the size of the military. Like this is the real impact of rising interest rates. This is like, it sounds like it doesn't mean anything, but what it means is the amount of our budget every year going to interest gets so astronomical, it crowds out everything else. This is what's happening in Japan's interest rates. Their borrowing costs are going parabolic, and they're deeply worried. Like, how do you afford a government? How do you pay for things if your borrowing costs have gotten so extreme?
The big
God for tariffs.
The big marker that people look for is these interest rates climbing to or past 5%, just as a marker of significant growth. And the 30-year Treasury rate for the U.S. Treasury is 4.93% right now, has climbed to 4.93%.
That's insane.
And the 10-year is also going up. I think it's interesting. This is also happening at the same time as a bunch of European bonds also climbing for the same like period of time. And also even recently, after a year of it surging or longer, gold is spiking in value again. So Big A stays one in Lemon of Optimism.
Bro, I'm not stoked because now it's too high. Now it's like scary for the world. But this is what Carney's saying. I'm saying this is what Carney's theory is that it doesn't matter whether you're the European country or you're America or you're Japan. This G7 debt-based thing it's not working. The borrowing costs are going to get so high we can't afford anything. The currency is going to have to get printed to pay it off. It's going to be monopoly money. It's a hard assets thing. So he's focusing on oil and timber and fucking lobster and peas.
Yeah.
And
the essentials.
The essentials. You can live on that stuff.
Yeah.
And we
can't build a house out of Wall Street crypto game, but you can build a house out of
peas.
Crab shells are durable.
Yeah.
Crab shells and pea shells.
Peas. And that's what it seems like. So I don't know. This Greenland thing is so smart, man. It's so smart.
Fellas, can I throw an open-ended feeling out there?
Yeah, what?
I think I've been trying to understand why this week's news has racked me so much. I've stated either maybe on the Patreon, I forget, but that I still don't feel like we've crossed a threshold at which Trump's action and what's happening is sort of like a turning point that you can't go back from. This week, I think the vibe for me has always been like, I don't like what's going on with ICE. I don't like what's going on with tariffs. I don't like what's going on with LGBT rights. I don't like all these things he's doing. But he's going to leave in a couple years, and presumably we will go back to normal. And if we can like ride it out, which is nice and easy for me to say,
you have a semblance of you still have an idea that the system will
correct itself.
Right.
And we've talked about this, that unless elections fundamentally are compromised, that it will correct itself. I mean, we did elect this guy. We did elect him democratically and now he's doing crazy shit, and it should correct itself. But this is something about this. I don't know why. It just feels like this has shattered things in a fundamental way. You can't trust this global system that has existed for 80 years if this can happen from the US. And there's no going back. Like I really feel pretty depressed about this, unfortunately. And I do feel like, okay, it's broken. It doesn't matter. This is the week for me where it's like, it doesn't matter if he's gone in 3 years.
Is it, so I think the interesting part of this is like this is the thing that makes you feel that way. But it's because like your idea is that trust that other countries have in us is so irreparably damaged that you cannot go back to the old way of doing things after this, regardless of who's in charge. Because people are making such concrete steps to make their country or their economy independent from the US in ways that it wasn't before, that they're not looking to backtrack like 2 or 3 years from now. Is that like a fair evaluation?
Yeah, I think so. It's probably a mix of that, which is the sort of rational side of like, well, these policies and treatments, these treaties just aren't going to be valid anymore. And I think the other half is just an emotional. Maybe I'm coming off of Prozac, so that's probably but unironically, maybe that's been softening things. Yeah. And I think the other side is just an emotional one of just for some reason this just went over of like Trump just openly, explicitly bullied our allies. We'll get to the Board of Peace thing in a sec, which is like, it's just kicking EU while they're down. It's just, but I don't know. It's like, okay, the world is truly going to be totally different than what we thought it would be.
Yeah, the way I heard it described that I thought was funny. I mean, none of this is funny really, but was, if you're thinking about it rationally from someone in Europe, like a leader in Europe, even if you think Trump will be gone and someone will come in that's more easy to deal with, the idea that every 4 years, based on 32,000 swing voters in Wisconsin or whatever, on my mic, how 32,000 swing voters in Wisconsin feel about trans kids playing volleyball or something. You get to decide whether or not you are going to be in a trade war with your ally or you're going to be threatening to invade your land. Like that's not a reliable enough. We switch pretty wildly here in America pretty quickly. We have two parties and what I'm saying? So they just have to de-risk.
I've had this feeling of, this direction that the country is moving in, even if it completely reverses 2 years from now, you're not somebody like Carney or Macron and looking at that and being like, well, may as well get fully back in the U.S. basket. They swapped the guy, because it could just swing back the other way so violently.
And you've seen you've been punished so hard for being too reliant.
Trusting, it's I think maybe the shift for me is it is irreparably changing the world, at least for the foreseeable future, into a every man for himself kind of vibe. And that's just really fundamentally scary, right? That the pretense that we could trust each other and work through it is evaporating. And it's not just the US trade relations are bad. It's every country is going to have to do what Canada is doing and say, we are not trusting anybody. We're focusing on our own interests. And that's just fucking sad, man. What a sad state for the world. Ugh. For human beings. My
little lemon of optimism has just a little bit of pessimism to put into this conversation. My worry from a 20-year, 30-year perspective has Price of Peace, that book we read, explains this pretty well, but it's a generally well understood idea that the at-large benefit of this world order post-World War II is that countries are so economically intertwined and dependent on each other that it's this built-in defense mechanism against people going to war. It doesn't mean no wars happened in the last 100 years, but it has been a relative time of peace of superpowers battling it out with each other, right? There hasn't been any gigantic global power-to-power conflict since World War II.
I'd say Ukraine, Russia kind of broke that. That's that's the biggest. I mean, that's when this all started to break down anyway. I feel
so that's a signal of something, a larger shift happening, I would say, right? And I feel as you continue to isolate allies and people economically, you're eroding what's left of the safeguard preventing countries from fighting each other.
Yeah.
You're getting rid of this underlying economic safety net that, wasn't, has its pros and cons in so many different ways because it's a global system and but ultimately was something that was protecting us going to all out war with other countries in the capacity that we were doing for hundreds of years before that. And now we're getting rid of it. And also a bunch of people have nuclear weapons and are for the first time ever rearming nuclearly. It feels scary.
Yeah.
I'm not awake at night worrying about that part, but it's a reminder of it wasn't the period of peace that we had gone through before this. It wasn't always like that in human history. It wasn't like that for most of human post-agricultural history was not like that.
Yeah.
And now we're getting rid of the main thing that was preventing it from being like that.
Right. And this period of peace has coincided with the invention of nuclear weapons. So we haven't been in a world where nuclear weapons exist and there's no global safeguards. That doesn't ever happen. So
and we're all gonna find out, and we're gonna find out together. Together,
it'll be cool. I mean, this is another Carney quote. He said he's talking about the system we currently had. It helped provide public goods, open sea lanes, a stable financial system, collective security. And then he said, this bargain with America no longer works. Let me be direct. We're in the midst of a rupture, not a transition. Great powers have started to use economic integration as a weapon, tariffs as leverage. So this is just, everyone has to change. And it is wild that it's happening on the back of a guy who I saw in Home Alone 2 as a kid and is now obsessed with the Nobel Peace Prize. It's crazy. It's crazy.
To be fair to Trump, in a world where all the alliances are rupturing because of what you did to acquire Greenland, having Greenland is strategically valuable.
If you create that world, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's what
A lot
I'm
of
saying.
foresight.
If all of it becomes America, then aren't you?
That's actually really, I see his plan.
Okay. You guys want to hear about the Board of Peace, okay? This stuff with Greenland started, and I was like, this is depressing. And then I started reading about the Board of Peace. The Board of Peace was proposed.
We need peace.
We do need peace. Yeah, it's got the word in there.
We're worried, and
They're debating on the name. It might be Board of War, but
the Board of Peace. I'm excited for this.
We talked about this in the wake of the treaty peace of sorts in Palestine and Israel, right? Where this 20-point document was pitched by the U.S. and it was agreed to, and credit where it's due, hostages were returned, and Israel has continued to bomb and kill people, and it's not exactly.
Oh, really? I didn't read any of that after.
So it's been a very tenuous peace that involves some killing and some war from one side, but in theory. The U.S. resolution has, gotten a whole lot of countries on board, and the Board of Peace for Gaza is like the name of the group that they're putting together. We talked about this because Tony Blair, the former Prime Minister of the UK, is the head of the Board of Peace for Gaza. He's going to help oversee this, and they're going to have a bunch of technocrats. I don't know why they use that word for this. Technocrats come in and run the rebuilding of Gaza, right? And so that's the premise. So there's been some updates. That is the Board of Peace for Gaza, but Trump is actually instituting a broader coalition called the Board of Peace broadly. The Board of Peace for Gaza is inside of it. Kind of like the UN. The way it'll work is if you join for 3 years, and then you're part of this coalition of country leaders that decide what kind of things are going to happen around the world. It sounds suspiciously like the UN, which Donald Trump does not really like. He announced Bloomberg found the basically the prompt or the premise of it that's being pitched to countries, which is that you can join for 3 years, or if you pay $1 billion, you're a permanent member. Little exclusive club. Cool.
And even the Board of Peace got paid to win, bro.
Fuck, dude. You know what this reminds me of? It's like selling Overwatch League slots for $20 million. It's like, just join, come and join.
It's just like microtransactions are getting into everything, Even
come join my new league.
So you have to pay for different flags.
I don't like the old one. This is gonna be a great new league. It's gonna last forever.
So that's silly, right? It's like, $1 billion club, right? And that's probably the headline you've heard. But looking a little more into the actual draft that's been pitched to countries. How does this Board of Peace function? Well, Trump is the chairman of the board. Decisions by these countries around the world on geopolitical issues, such as the rebuilding of Gaza, obviously majority vote, but every single vote is subject to the chairman's approval, Donald Trump. Trump will have the power to remove a member that can only be vetoed by 2/3 majority of the member states. So he personally, as the chairman, can kick people out and also decide who gets invited.
Just to be clear, even if I paid the $1 billion.
It's not clear. As you can imagine, this is a Trumpism type thing where it's like an unclear document, but this is what it's stated so far. Is that so meetings, they're going to happen when the chairman decides. The agenda is approved by the chairman. So we're not going to talk about stuff unless the chairman wants to talk about that stuff. We're not going to meet unless the chairman wants to meet. And here's the piece that really made me go, holy fucking shit. The chairman, who basically controls this new UN board, is the only one who gets to decide who the next chairman is. And so this, I realized, is the play by Trump to stay in power after he's kicked out of office, right? And again, it gets back to that feeling of like, at least this will correct in 3 years. But if this works and he can get country leaders all together, after he's president, will be chairman of the board of this institution that has all of these different countries deciding world affairs with permanent control over everything, including who's next. And of course, you can imagine he's put in Jared Kushner and various other people in like leadership roles.
The GOAT team?
Jared always finds a way.
Squad?
So, Jared always finds a way.
Man.
He's going to run Paramount Pictures and
He's a busy guy, Jared.
And some crypto thing. And then, my understanding, Board of Peace, you pay Trump $1 billion
right
to get on board. You don't get any input in the decisions.
You do. It's just he can veto it.
He can veto it.
Which
Trump
is then
has solo veto power over everything. He's chairman of the board for life, not just the life of the presidency.
Yeah.
So even if you were
it's him establishing his own global thing that is separate from the U.S. government forever.
And he has sole control over all the money.
Right.
In the Board of Peace.
Yeah, when you donate $1 billion, it's going to go, and in quotes, mostly to the money raised will be used, directly to accomplish the Board of Peace mandate to rebuild Gaza. But there's a quote.
Just to put this all back in a loop here, the big impetus for this, we have to take Greenland and break all our alliances thing was Greenland, you can't protect it from our enemies, Russia and China.
Right.
And the first person I think he invited to the Board of Peace is Vladimir Putin.
There are some funny people invited to the Board of Peace. You got the European countries, the ones who, just to be clear, just were threatened with tariffs to take Greenland, inviting them to the Board of Peace. You got Israel, who's the first one who came, Benjamin Netanyahu came out and said, the details haven't been coordinated with us. And is like apparently very upset because Qatar and Turkey are invited as well. And is like, this is supposed to be about like us running Gaza. And instead he's making this board around the world. Macron from France promptly declined. So credit to him, came out and was like, we're absolutely not fucking being a part of this. Trump responds with, well, no one wants him because he's going to be out of office very soon. I'll put a 200% tariffs on his wines and champagnes and he'll join. Fucking baffling. And then others imply, like Carney said he's interested in principle, but then behind the scenes, they're like, we will not pay a dime for this, which is
no one's going to pay $1 billion to join your board.
We got Argentina's Milei. We got Belarus's autocratic leader, Lukashenko. So that's cool. Russia was invited.
Lukashenko is invited?
Yep, to the Board of Peace.
Dude, if the Board of Peace is like Lukashenko, Trump, and Putin.
Yeah, dude, it'd be so funny. That'd be, hold on.
Wait,
hold on.
Avengers
Stay with me.
Stay
with me. That's a little beast.
Okay, hold on. You're missing.
If it's just the three of them.
You're
that's
missing the crabs for
funny.
the peas here. Okay, we've talked about the big two, right? Which is Belarus and Russia. Who's the big three that you really want on the Board of Peace? China. China's invited. They said they might be interested.
Okay.
Oh, and he wants this done by Thursday. He announced this like a day ago.
By Thursday.
He wants it
Get it done by Thursday.
Xi Jinping, you just send me $1 billion by Thursday. It's for the Board of Peace.
So baffling, man.
Just send it. Just send it.
You just send it.
Cash App. Venmo.
I'll take,
do whatever you need.
I'll take digital yuan.
I'll take CS kids.
They can pay for it with their tariff revenue.
But I feel like it's so funny to imagine, like, can you imagine hopping on the kind of like MAGA train 2016? You feel a little disenfranchised. I can understand how you'd be there. You're all on the drain the swamp rhetoric. You're like, get rid of the deep state, get rid of the globalists. And in 2026, you're reading about the Board of Peace. the leadership where Trump gets to be chair into infinity over this global organization with full veto power that all the other countries buy into. It just feels like it. I'm wondering what you could say. I know it doesn't matter. I don't have, I can't find them in front of me, but there were a lot of examples obviously pulled up of people in the 2016 era saying things like Trump invading Greenland or taking Greenland seriously were obviously it's an example of alarmism from his, and like now that shit's real. So I don't know. It's funny in a cosmic sense, but obviously very depressing.
I mean, when you chat about tariffs, which is like kind of a good spin on this.
Sure. What's the tariffs angle?
So all of this, all the chaos, I should say a huge amount of the chaos that Trump has instigated comes from tariffs, right? He's thrown tariffs on everybody, even with this Board of Peace thing. He's fucking threatening France by putting 200% tariffs on their champagnes, right? That has been the club that he has been wielding and beating everyone off over the last year, right? Mm-hmm. So are tariffs legal? What is the precedent for this? Well, the precedent is the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which I'll just pronounce instead of IEEPA, I'll just say EPA.
EPA.
Gives the president economic tools during a national emergency. And so what's the history of this? Like, why is he allowed to do this? Is he allowed to do this? They started this in 1917 as the U.S. entered World War I. And then by the 1930s, Congress updated it so the power could be used during peacetime. And this basically was the act that was used during the Cold War so that presidents could put economic pressure on other countries. It's going to be like sanctions or, international restrictions or seizing assets or whatever it is, right? So
All the fun stuff.
Yeah. So this is the act that has allowed presidents over the last 100 years now to put economic pressure on various things. But they have to declare a national emergency to do it. In 1977, they updated it from the Trading with the Enemy Act to the EPA. They require a little more transparency. You have to formally extend it every year. And Congress was like, we can end the national emergency. All right. The president can declare one, but we can now vote to do it. Except after the Supreme Court ruled on it, it has to go to the president for signing. He can veto it. So Congress can say
veto the ending?
Yes. So president can declare a national emergency. Congress can vote to end the national emergency, and the president can veto it and say, no, I still want the national emergency.
Still national emergency.
That it can then be counter vetoed like any normal law with 2/3 vote in House and Senate.
It's a perfect system.
So let's do a little game. In 2025, since this the most recent version of this kicked off in basically the 70s, right? 1977. Presidents have declared how many national emergencies do you think we've had? We're talking like 50 years.
Oh, quite a few, for sure.
I mean, like national emergencies, right?
I know, but presidents kind of go willy-nilly with it. If they need it.
Yeah. If you need something.
12?
30.
77 national emergencies.
I'm not even close.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously most of them are done now, right? There are actually some of them that are still going. So of the 77 total national emergencies that the president has created, presidents over the 50 years, how many do you think are still happening? We are still in a state of emergency.
They never said they were over.
They never said they were over. We are technically still in the state of emergency.
God.
Venezuelan drug boats, man. What happened to them?
Yeah.
52.
46.
46.
We are in 46 right now, national emergencies. One of them is when Iran took the U.S. embassy staff in 1979. That emergency's been going for 46 years.
And it still scares me.
They're waiting for a good enough movie about it to end the emergency.
You're like Argo?
Ben Affleck's take, 8, maybe 7 out of 10, 8
No,
out of 10.
Argo is good, bro. That's your worst take of the show.
A
And you said a
10
lot
out
of
of 10
pro Trump
movie. Argo's fine.
Perry, if you can pull this up, there's a Wikipedia page that you can go to. List of national emergencies in the United States. It is very, very long. And you can go scroll down and just look at all the emergencies, which are highlighted in green of which ones are current. So this act...
Just pick one. What we got?
We got some Obama ones blocking certain persons in Nicaragua. That was a good one.
So many of them are current.
Yeah. There's a lot. So as you can imagine, Trump did a lot of them, but the ones that are really notable is February 1st of last year. That's when he did 3 executive orders, and this is basically saying there's a national emergency with drugs on the northern border, on the southern border, and from China. And that's when he first did those big tariffs and started.
These are all for the tariffs, right?
Yes. So
It's
there's
so funny
been
because-
other ones, to be clear. There's just broadly a cartel emergency right now, and there's an energy emergency apparently.
Right, but how does the cartel emergency or even the trade deficit emergency apply to I'm going to put tariffs on France's wines to get...
That is exactly the question. So when we talked about Liberation Day last year, you can see that is here. It is on April 2nd, 2025. You can go look at the order, and it states, he basically is like, we have had these trade relationships that have become increasingly unfair. It is a national economic importance. It is actually an emergency that we need to use tariffs in order to reciprocate and fix the trade deficits. So this has been the premise. He has used this act that's been around for 100 years now, in its most recent form 50, and he keeps declaring national emergencies. However, no president has ever, even though all the presidents have done a bunch of national emergencies, none of them have ever used it to create tariffs like this. So this is new. So there was a lawsuit by a bunch of small companies that basically sued the president and said, we don't think you have the legal right to do this. And the lower courts of the United States ruled that it is unconstitutional. And they said, it basically argued the word tariff is not even in this National Emergencies Act. This is not something that's supposed to be the case. Trump's arguing oh, it definitely is. And so this got bumped up to the Supreme Court. And they took the case in September and they started arguments in November. So just to recap this, the Supreme Court right now is ruling and determining whether the tariffs that Trump has been using to do all of the stuff we're talking about, if they rule that illegal, all of this breaks. Not only did they listen to arguments on the 6th of November, so like 2 months ago, apparently they were very skeptical. Like a lot of questions were from most of the judges indicating that they didn't seem to think that this was very legit. So right now they are in recess and they have a 4-week recess where they are going to like finalize their deliberation. In that time period, since everybody realized the justices might not vote in Trump's favor, there's been like 1,000 lawsuits that have hit the United States. Now that all these companies that have been paying tariffs over the last year think it might all be unwound, they're all suing to get ahead of this, basically jumping on the bandwagon so that they can get back all this money they've paid. And if this is ruled unconstitutional, if this is ruled that it's not allowed, the US government will have to refund all of the tariff money to everybody that's paid it. I think I'll get mug money back.
I have a very strong counterpoint.
Okay.
Can you pull up my screen? I need audio.
Understood how to deal with them, and I'm the tariff king, and the tariff king has done a great job, and I hope we win the Supreme Court case, because if we don't...
I'm the tariff king, and the tariff king has done a great job.
So the good news on all this is that the tariff king...
He's the tariff king.
I'm the tariff king, and the tariff king... A little third-person reference to yourself as the tariff king.
Of course.
And he has done a great job, according to the tariff... And he's the tariff king said it, so he wouldn't be wrong.
Are you telling me the tariff king and the chairman of the Peace Board are both lying?
And the FIFA Peace Prize winner and the Nobel Peace Prize
recipient
owns the medal.
A recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize.
Fact.
Donald Trump.
That's a fact.
Never tell me I'm wrong.
U.S. president. So he's got 5 things to his name, and he's calling himself the tariff king. And you're just yapping about laws.
I know. I'm yapping. Trump did say that if the Supreme Court strikes it down, they'll find other ways to implement tariffs, such as Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act, which it was done by Congress, and it does let the president put tariffs on specific goods in the matter of national security. So I would argue that this Supreme Court case is going to be one of the most important things to happen in the Trump presidency. Most of the chaos he's done has been, or at least, externally, right? Not talking about ICE and everything else. Most of the chaos he's done internationally has been through tariffs. It's all been predicated on this particular National Emergencies Act. The next date that the Supreme Court might make a decision is February 20th, so in exactly a month. And that might just cause all of this to crash to a halt. He can try these other avenues to get tariffs, but they're a lot harder to do. You have to have this process where the Commerce Department goes through and does the studies to prove that this specific thing is a matter of national security. So he probably cannot just threaten it on wine randomly to Macron. So that's the hopeful thing. I deeply hope that countries do not join the Board of Peace. I deeply hope that the Supreme Court rules down on tariffs. There's an argument for tariffs that you could make. And I think the way they're being used is so obviously
awesome,
incredibly destructive and harmful.
I think that's a mid-read word. Yeah, I agree. I did want to say about tariffs that all of the deals, we did the 90 deals in 90 days, and then they became, more than that in more days. Every one of the deals that we have signed thus far, including the EU deal, were precluded on the fact that Donald Trump could make these tariffs. That was the idea. That if the tariffs are unconstitutional and they're struck down, every single deal, every progress they've made on any of those deals is all unwound immediately. The Europe deal is already being thrown out the window because of the new tariff. Once you make a deal, the idea is that's the deal. We're going to set a certain tariff level on Europe, and we signed a deal. And then you can't later say, I'm going to add this new deal about Greenland.
Give me what I want.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
People can't learn and evolve.
What's funny is I feel bad sometimes for the people in Trump's administration who have to kind of rationalize what he's saying. And I don't remember, it was someone State Department when they were like, let's think of this Greenland tariff deal as, let's talk about it separately from the European tariff deal that we already had. Don't try to merge them, because Europe immediately said, okay, we're throwing out the old deal. And I just think it's funny when you try to pretend They're not.
You have
one
to
and the
like
same.
somehow thread the needle.
Yeah.
On in
Either
front
like-
of the
yeah,
press and
yeah,
be
yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, this is why
This
it
is
makes
a
sense.
separate. Yeah. Support for this show comes from Rocket Money.
Is that where we are with Rocket Money ads? You've done so many that you have to do
I get a little
your
goofier
British
with
accent.
it,
You
yeah.
get goofy
I
here.
get goofy with it because I like the product because I've used it for a long time.
Yeah, so have I. It works great. I look at all my
You know what I do is I look at there and I
subscriptions that I've
find the Yard
forgotten about.
Patreon and I cancel it.
The
'Cause I
Yard
don't
Patreon.
care.
You've never subbed to the Yard Patreon.
have.
Don't lie.
I have. And then you guys called me fat for 40 minutes on a Patreon episode. And I said,
And that's
that's not a good use of my money.
And
Thanks,
isn't that-
Rocket Money, for helping me find
isn't
that out.
a reason
Cancel.
to, it's a good reason
Isn't it a
to
good use of...
seeding the app. You hang on to some of the subscriptions. Some of them are special.
And if you are subscribed to something like the Yard Patreon, you could cancel that or see anything you're paying for that's useless and a waste of time and not that funny. And go to try Rocket Money for free at rocketmoney.com/lemonade. Give that a quick cancel. Get your money back. Get your life back.
You know what else? What about Atrioc Twitch subs? A lot of people have those.
Well, you can move the
a lot of
money
people
into that.
those. DougDoug Twitch subs even. I'm shooting left and
Well,
right
that's
now.
an investment for the
And
future.
that's the end of the ad. No more needs to be said.
No, actually, it's not the end of the ad. You know when you go to Starbucks and you debate whether it's worth paying $3 for like a scone or whatnot? You're like, I shouldn't do that. And then you realize you've been paying $15 a month for a streaming service you haven't watched a show in a year.
Yeah.
Try Rocket Money for free.
Guys, I'm sick of doing this podcast with you. I have a better way to make money because I'm a business leader and hero, and you guys are holding me back. I'm going to sell mini basketballs. Here's the thing. I'm really good at bouncing them. I'm good at finding them, but I'm not so good at coding or making a storefront or finding a way to sell them online.
How would you do that then?
I was going to ask Doug.
You were going to make Doug do it for you.
So I'll do it, and I will charge you all the money we've made on this podcast.
But can I be the CEO and be like the public face?
No. I get 100% voting shares.
Absolutely not.
If you don't want to pay that though, in 2026, you can stop waiting and start selling with Shopify.
That sounds way more convenient. Then I could be my own boss.
Yeah, they have a bunch of built-in tools that just let you build out the website. They handle the checkout process. You can add your SKUs in there. You know what I'm saying?
One SKU.
So you could sign up. It's just one SKU because you don't have
SKU.
any other ideas. Also, people have made up basketballs already.
Some
Sign up for
products,
your
small
$1
ones.
per month
here,
trial
Brendan.
and start selling today at shopify.com/lemonade. Go to shopify.com/lemonade. That's shopify.com/lemonade. Hear your first this new year with Shopify by your side.
You know what? Can I throw some good news out there?
I would love that. Let's start with the fact that I beat Silksong in one life.
That is good news.
Thanks for watching Lemonade Stand, everybody.
I would like to show you a really cool map.
Thanks for watching Lemonade Stand, everybody.
No.
I'm going to go play catch with my dad. Yeah.
As of right now, 2026 January, California is drought-free for the first time in decades. Now, I guess this doesn't matter if you're not in California, but it's a big deal. There are no drought symptoms in California, and our reservoirs have filled up. So it's kind of like it's kind of a cool moment. I don't know. You guys don't get very happy about it.
I'll take some credit for this. I go pee in my neighbor's backyard instead of using the toilet.
Yeah, I saw you pee in the reservoir, actually.
We got to recycle
filling
water.
the reservoir.
You were drinking it and then peeing in it. This came from the Discord. I thought it was a pretty nice
Haven't
piece of
showered
news.
in a month.
Just given that if you flash back literally
I don't wipe
1
when I
year,
poop.
we were in fires. We were in a dangerous wildfire drought situation. And now 1 year later, it's a better spot.
I mean, even I think anecdotally, if you live in Southern California, the last few years I've been here, there's a noticeable change in how much rain we've gotten in the winter. We'll like experience these like torrential downpours for huge stretches of time in the winter. And then a kind of fun thing, that has its own set of consequences, but I would go hiking when I first moved down here. And, you'd go around California a little like dustier, less like trees or greenery, like when you go out and hiking, especially compared to a place like Washington where I moved down from. And then the last few years when I go out hiking, like all of these trails and places are just filled with like green plant life that did not used to be there, at least not in that same like quantity.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty stark shift just in like the 6 years that I've lived here. That
I mean, even in 1 year, we had wildfires last year. We had wildfires last year, massive ones.
Well, we let the Palisades burn down to save up water for the drought.
I see.
Yeah. It's
Anyway.
strategic. Karen Bass did that.
That's not. Wildfire risk as close to zero as it ever gets. 14 of the 17 reservoirs are at 70% or more capacity. That's a good sign. Weather-wise, though, I heard that, I don't know if you guys heard about this. It was like a massive cold front about to hit Texas, the Southeast, Atlanta. There's apparently the cold front of the century or something. Something really
You telling me
bad.
the climate's changing?
Fuck, dude. I don't know.
You're telling me.
Fuck, dude.
It is.
I do know this is the third hottest year in history, 2025. And the one before it was the second hottest, and the one before that was the first hottest. So we're in the top 3 in the last. But that's trending down.
Top 3. It's trending down. Dude, are we fixing climate change?
I
Have
would
they
say,
run the numbers on this?
Since Lemonade Stand started, the world is less hot than it was the year before.
Think about that.
And that's-
Ozone is
Think
almost
about
back, too.
that.
Oh, actual real thing. Like ozone over Antarctica, I believe, right? Is like almost healed. Like we're gonna fully regenerate the ozone layer. We are doing some good things.
There's a couple wins in the basket.
Let's find out who else is doing some good things, because as we near the end of this episode, we have time, but I want to talk about a game that we played 1 year ago.
Okay.
DougDoug.com/stocks. Exactly 1 year ago today, we made some picks on which stocks we thought would do good in the first year of Trump's presidency. After 252 trading days, we have a winner.
It's Ludwig. Oh, nope. Sorry, he's dead last.
Sorry, that's it. You read the chart the other way.
Let's just read out some of these numbers.
Okay.
I want to give the context here. Maybe you can give it. Let's say you are a badass trader on Wall Street. Your job is to make trades. You buy and sell assets. Maybe you do it for a pension fund. Maybe you do it for some small wealth management company, right? What would be a good return if you were successful on Wall Street?
So I looked this up because I'm working on a video for this. And I looked up how hedge funds performed this year because they have to be public with their percent return.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of them with different various, and some of them did beat even Aiden's number here. But
Doesn't make any sense.
there were many, many hedge funds that did 18% that were crowing from the rooftops about their record incredible performance. Because the general idea is if you beat the S&P 500 index, which is what you're benchmarked against, which is 13.34%, you had an incredible year on Wall Street. If you are doing a 20% return in this past year, you very likely got a large bonus. You got to cash out on your yacht. This is not an exaggeration. This is literally how they're paid. And so this is like a damning indictment of Wall Street. If Ludwig had been on Wall Street, he would be considered a top trader.
And that sets us up for Ludwig making on his 10 stocks 25% return. He made a profit of $2,500. DougDoug in fourth place with a 34% profit. Stands with 37, Atrioc with 42, and Aiden with a 56% increase over 1 year. This would be a generational run if he was doing this on Wall Street. We, in total, the five of us, have raised $19,534 for charity, which Aiden will be deciding. This is truly obscene, and I want to remind everybody that includes the $800 odd that Ludwig lost on Trump coin.
It's great. It's great.
I want to give you some examples of some of these legendary. D.E. Shaw's Oculus Fund. This is where wealthiest people putting in the smartest minds.
Okay.
They get the richest people, they get the brightest minds from MIT and they put them only to work on trading stocks. D.E. Shaw's Oculus Fund did 28% this last year. They barely edged out Ludwig. We read Ray Dalio's book, Bridgewater, his fund. Their Pure Alpha Fund, which is their best performing fund, did 34%, the highest in 50 years they've ever had. 34%.
Impressive for a young.
That would put them just under DougDoug.
Just under me, who, to be clear, my highest performing stock is Ocugen Inc. Ocugen was determined because I asked my Doug AI on the stream, what is a good stock? He said that Ocugen is a great pick because it's up like 40% right now. That's not true. It was just lying. And I put all my money in, or 1,000 into Ocugen. They were almost delisted over the summer because they dropped so low. But then they've had a spike upward from a start of 70 cents per stock to $1.67. And that returned 135%. Ludwig beat the vast majority of incredibly successful hedge funds investing into United Healthcare.
United Healthcare, Trump Coin, and Occidental Petroleum, all of which
right
tanked.
Off the back of Luigi Mangione.
He just picked Micron, which actually was the single best performing stock, I believe, in the S&P, in the S&P 500.
Okay.
Not
in the competition.
Not fucking penny stocks that scrape this deep sea ocean.
Oh, I'm sorry that my intelligence reaches outside of the
Aiden's
S&P.
ego, we talk about his win here. If you could pull up this quote, there's an iconic investing quote
56%.
that I think really applies to what happened in this game. This is an absurd result. The fact that we all five made, stupid on-stream things and beat all major hedge funds and the S&P is a sign of insane times. That almost everything is trending up, and
what does that say? What does the quote say?
you can't read. That's why you can't even read.
What does it say? Read it out loud.
Everyone is a genius in a bull market.
Aiden McCaig, a genius.
That's what it says.
All
That's
five
what the
of us were
word says.
geniuses.
Yep. That's it. It says everyone.
And your
And don't forget
portfolio is largely successful off the back of TMC, the Metals Company, Inc. Can you walk us through what you found so compelling about TMC?
Indeed, Doug. It takes a keen mind to see the value in TMC as early as I did.
It's returned 350%, by the way.
I'm going to think of this every time I watch like a CNBC interview with a Wall Street trader or like a hedge fund guy. And they're like, I was up 40% last year. Yeah, it's really about investing in the markets. And it's probably just another fucking Aiden. They just hit something.
Doug, it's about finding your own way, trusting your gut. Not just doing what the crowd tells you to.
When all the naysayers came in, how did you keep going, Aiden?
Interesting. And it was tough because a lot of people did naysay. When we were drafting the stocks, what did Stan say? He said, I've never even heard of that. Atrioc said metal. We don't even use that anymore.
Obviously, I didn't say we don't use metal.
And if you're lucky like me and you have just a curiosity for the world, then you too can be delivered a 10-minute NBC video about an upstart industry in the year 2022. And then you can loosely hang on to that idea until your friend invites you to the stock competition and then spots you the money because you're doing home renovations. Which is exactly what happened. A fun fact about this competition. I don't own the stocks. Doug does. Because I didn't have enough cash when we did the stream. So he spotted me. And then a month later, when I did have the money, Doug was like, well, it doesn't really make sense to like change it over. We may as well just keep it this way. And then you could like pay me back later if you lose. And,
but you were up.
So, and my grit
Your
brought
grit,
this
your
stock
tenacity,
to the top.
and you did.
It is, I literally, I came into this competition so unbelievably underprepared. I just picked 9 companies I could think of top of my head that hadn't been chosen throughout the competition. And then I think as like my 9th or 10th pick, I was like, I need one thing that makes my portfolio stand out. Like I literally need to come up with one individual idea. And I was like, oh, that whole thing. We had talked about this industry in the first test episode of Lemonade Stand that we filmed. Like I did a little section on it.
We did.
Because there's this interesting world of like, the metals company is a company that is trying to pull up these like nodules from the ocean floor that have like rare earth metals in them as a new way to like harvest the type of metals. And the reason it really interested me was not because of this like new. This is the genuine part. It's not because of the like, oh, this is a new way to like find this resource and it's like environmentally questionable. And it was the like government apparatus that was policing it because this type of mining didn't exist. It's overseen by this UN office in like the Caribbean that is understaffed and was like never meant to moderate this task. And it's over these sections of the ocean floor that are owned by like small Pacific Island nations that, you know, are trying to find a way to like economically move up. So they're partnering with companies like this. And there's a bunch of corruption involved. And it was just.
And you said, just get me in.
And I was like, and I was learning about all of this over the course of a couple years because the story was ongoing. Like the story of the metals company and the other companies that are involved in this work is very up and down based on these like regulations and things. And I came into the competition to raise money for charity. And I was like, I remember this company. It's an energy adjacent company. I bet things are going to change quickly, like regarding the regulations around this with Trump in charge. That was like just my guess. And
yeah, I mean, the big thing was just China. China put the squeeze on rare earth minerals and all the rare earth companies skyrocketed. And this was the one.
And this was one of them.
Yeah, this was the one that got the
peaked at like $10 this year. And what was crazy is like the 159 I bought it at when we did this competition was already high. Like it had gone from like 20 or 50 cents, like all the way up to that dollar mark. And then over the course of this year, it went crazy and it hit 10. So I made a cool
I'm pretty sure on that stock alone, you made more than like Stan's.
I made $3,500 on that one stock. So
which is pretty crazy. Stan's had one of the best performing stocks of the whole thing with Oklo as the year of nuclear, although that's still companies yet to make any money.
Yeah, that was, dude, my nuclear pick was my second best pick, the Cameco Corp.
Nuclear stuff did really well. My best stock was a company that sells not a cure for psoriasis, just a really expensive treatment you have to keep buying. Dude, it turned out to be enormously profitable.
And was that because a certain congresswoman?
No, that was Tempest AI. That was the one before.
Atrioc's third best performing stock is just the gold trust. You just bought gold.
Yeah, I just bought gold. And
damn, dude, DraftKings did not perform for you at all.
No, and I found out that the idea of, let's say, sports betting is going to be bigger this year turned out to be quite true. If I had bought in Robinhood, which turned out to be the big winner of sports betting this year because of prediction markets. If I bought in Robinhood to DraftKings, Robinhood was about as big as TMC. Robinhood was actually, I think, the number 2 or number 1 performing stock in the S&P this year.
That's crazy.
Which is pretty insane. Robinhood had a 250 or something like that % return. So, bit of a mistake to go with DraftKings. I picked Goldman Sachs. I thought there'd be a lot of mergers. There was, but Albertsons and Kroger did not merge. So me and Ludwig both lost on that.
Yeah, speak for yourself. Ludwig made $82.
I made $82. I'm sorry. And I just can't believe Ludwig looked around his room and picked things that he saw and beat
the hedge funds. Yeah, so because he saw all of his MAGA gear, which is why he went for Trump coin.
Yeah,
$19,500 for charity. Nothing to sniff at. I get to pick the charity it goes to. Already picked it.
What is it?
And it is a small group that donates money to small, like, new business owners in Sweden from abroad. It's just small startups that are moving their operations to Sweden to help them get a leg up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really noble of you.
No, it's great.
That sounds really heroic.
Well, because I'm a small business guy.
Because they need to get their feet on the ground, and it's like, yeah. Wow, that's pretty,
but I thought
pretty noble. We do have some bad news, though, which is that there was a punishment assigned to the loser where they had to run a 5K.
Wait, hold on. Do you have a charity?
I haven't picked it yet.
Okay. But we will. I guess we'll update on that.
I'm open, actually, genuinely, if anyone has suggestions for charities they think are particularly good. I think my first idea was just like, finding maybe like some mutual aid organization or, but I'm really open to any ideas. The punishment, though, I did want to get to this because Ludwig is the person who lost. And if for those who don't remember, because I think many people forgot, the agreed upon punishment was whoever finishes last has to fly to New York, go to Wall Street, wear a suit and a briefcase, and film themselves running a 5K in New York. That is what the loser has to do. Yeah. And when I brought this up to Ludwig a month and a half ago, he had, of course, forgotten this and just said he, quote, wasn't going to do
That's
it.
insane.
Which is not fair. And I need you. I'm begging you, if you happen to be a Ludwig viewer and you're here who you watch his Twitch stream, you watch his YouTube videos, you cannot let him forget that he committed to this punishment.
You got to put the pressure
because
on.
there's no, if we let this slip by, then what teeth do we have as Americans?
As Americans.
Our country is falling apart.
This is like the last thing we had is the institution of this stock game.
Yes, it's all we have left. And Ludwig needs to do this.
Fellas, I got to admit something.
Okay.
I already told you about this. I looked at my Robinhood numbers. A lot less money than they're supposed to be on my returns. A lot of so my second highest performing stock was Palantir.
Yeah.
And upon review of my portfolio, I invested in Palantir.
That is, dude, I forgot about this. I forgot.
That is a different company. So dude, I actually didn't make $1,350. What I did was lose 70% of my portfolio, and I lost $700. If you go off of those numbers, where instead of Palantir, I went for Palantir, excuse me, I am actually in last place. Now, here's my counter argument, okay? Yeah. I bet Ludwig didn't even buy Trump coin. Okay.
No, I don't think he bought it.
I think the competition is on the stocks, and we have to reconcile the money, the $19,500, that has to come up, right? I will just pay the difference out of my own pocket to make sure that. So I think the competition is based off of what
it's based on what you picked, not what you bought.
And I just feel like we can all agree that Ludwig still lost, even though technically
100%.
I mean, I'll just fully admit it here. So there's 10 stocks here. I put all of the money into gold, and I just figured I would pay the
Wait,
difference.
you didn't know? Did any? Okay,
I just figured I would pay the difference.
We are going. Look, I mean, harass everybody.
The $19,500 will be donated regardless.
Yes, that is going to happen.
The money.
And now I have to. Yeah, actually, I don't have. God damn it! I just realized the one person in this group who will be easy to harass for the money is you, and I already have your money, Aiden.
Yeah.
Getting Atrioc to fill out a form takes like a week. He's not going to send me $6,000.
I'll send the cash.
I'm so responsible. Doug never even had to get. He just used his own money for me. That's how communicative I am. I think this was fun though.
It was really fun.
I liked this. Yeah.
I mean, it's fun this year.
It's so funny because in a bad year it would be so not fun, right?
We had a dip in April. We all went negative, and then we came back through sheer force of will.
Yeah. That was our skill.
Yeah. Let's end. We're basically done. I want to end on one pretty important AI update that I think is interesting, and we'll expand on it even more in our Patreon episode if you want to hear more about that. But I'm going to hit it real quick, which is there's some updates on OpenAI. ChatGPT recently announced they're adding ads into the ChatGPT product. So if you pull this up, Mr. Perry, this was 4 days ago. OpenAI, in the coming weeks, we plan to start testing ads in ChatGPT free and go tiers. And so looking into the numbers of this a little bit, the ChatGPT, they have said, as of a few months ago, that they have 700 million weekly users. Of those, 35 million pay a subscription. So 95% of ChatGPT users are not paying for anything. And that is obviously going to be a huge hit. What's interesting about this is, Sam Altman, the CEO, he said, we're going to test out ads and what's going to, let's see, where's the thing? We're starting to test this out. Here are principles. It'll never affect the answers it gives you. We'll keep your conversations private, because he knows this is going to get an absolutely enormous amount of criticism. And people have been quoting this particular clip from him, if you pull it up, which is,
I kind of think of ads as like a last resort for us for a business model. I would do it if it meant that was the only way to get everybody in the world like access to great services. But if we can find something that doesn't do that, I'd prefer that.
And they could not find something.
I was going to say
1 year, 3 months ago.
I don't need
it is
to
a
be
last resort.
Like I actually want to take this in good faith. It's like that all of what he said in that clip could just be true.
Yeah.
Right? Like they are struggling. You have a massive product that is incredibly expensive. Most people who use it for free. You need to monetize it somehow to like have the hope of having your company continue to operate in the future. We've talked extensively about their financial obligations they have into the future, right? The huge bet this company is making on it becoming profitable eventually, like everybody wants, like everybody involved in the project.
California's got a lot of water now.
I just feel like that could be true. And their back is against the wall financially, and they have to introduce ads to the product. I feel like that's just
I think it is true. I think that's just the admission from that clip.
Yeah.
Is that they are back against
bad.
the wall and they need fucking money. As we've been saying on the show, like when they did Sora, when they did I'm blanking on the other features they've added. They've done like
What, deep research or what?
Yeah, but they had other things that were like
Just
whatever.
all the images. And
Yeah. They've had a couple of features come out every now and then, and it's like each one is clearly a play to try and make some money, to try and to monetize this in some way. And each one has been obviously not up to the task of the gap that they owe and what they have. And so this is the last thing. This is the last arrow in the quiver. We're going to put ads on all these millions of free users. And if that makes us enough money, then maybe we're good. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't make sense. Like what they're doing as a business, does that make sense? They've promised trillions. They don't have trillions. How do they get there? They have to figure that out now. There's no more time. The data centers are breaking ground. Like they can't afford them.
Yeah. Some numbers that I thought were interesting. So in the third quarter last year, so this is over 3 months, according to Microsoft, who's largely funding OpenAI, OpenAI lost $11.5 billion. That's quite a bit of money to lose. So the counter is
that's 11 spots on the board of peace.
Yeah, Sam could have stacked the board of peace with his
stacked the board of
homies.
peace.
Microsoft is wasting their money on this OpenAI nonsense. If you assume, so again, 5%, about 35 million people are paying for a weekly subscription. That includes the $20 a month or the $200. So let's assume $25 on average from those 35 million people. That means they're making $875 million a month. That doesn't even include the business deals or the API side where people can use it directly, which are additional. So we could be super generous and say they're making $1 billion a month. But that means, again, they lost 11.5 billion in a quarter, even though they're making, let's say, 3 billion in revenue. And looking into those, my initial response to seeing this ads was like, OpenAI is fucking cooked. They said this was a last resort. They clearly are in their death throes because why else would you do this? And then started thinking about it. Google and Meta, who are wildly, wildly successful companies, are largely successful off the back of advertising revenue. Third quarter, the same quarter last year, Google made $74 billion and Meta made $50 billion off of advertising. So two of the most profitable companies in the world are making money because they serve ads to people. ChatGPT is one of the biggest products in the world and has 665 million people, arguably more, depending on the most recent numbers, who would be down to watch ads, possibly, probably. And so it could be an absolute money fountain for OpenAI. This could, I don't know, I'm a little skeptical, but become absolutely wildly successful.
Can't you poll? Isn't there polling data on people's overall view on Instagram ads, and it's like positive or something? I remember reading this a long time ago. I'm just pulling this out of my ass, but I remember reading something about people actually having a like net positive opinion about Instagram ads because of the degree of personalization. So people actually, like, on the whole, like them. And it's like, if you're dealing with the amount of data that you have, I mean, this is also one of the fears of what these AI chatbots we're going to turn
They know
into,
a lot
right?
about you.
Is like they
People are
know
using them as
so
therapists.
much about you, and it's going to be repurposed to like sell you products. It's not lost on me that I have an Adobe Acrobat Studio mug on the table right now. I understand. Like, but it's I just think like it feels like you cannot have a product that is this large for free and not monetize it somehow.
Yeah.
You have to do this.
Yeah.
Or because everybody's not going to pay $20 a month. Like, I pay the $20 a month plan or whatever, but not everybody's going to do that.
Yeah. But the counter argument is that, a service like YouTube took a long time to make money, right? And they were able to do that because Google could float it. If OpenAI is desperate now, as we're in year like 2, 3 of this AI build out, and they're throwing ads in, and Google doesn't have to do that with Gemini for fucking forever. I mean, for as long as they want. Like they they have money. Then
Isn't it also, but they have no reason for the free, they have no reason not to. Am I crazy? Like in the short term, like outcompete or offer an alternative version. But even in like a 5-year timeline, I feel like there's no way Gemini doesn't have ads on it for the free users, especially when you consider the portion of their business that is ads already. It's like, why is that not the natural progression of where that goes?
I agree that in whatever medium term, that eventually the free versions of this will have ads because they don't make any money.
You can't piss away the money forever.
Yeah. It's not a charity service, right?
Yeah.
They run a data center that costs billions to make. They're going to ask it a question. They're going to turn all those fucking things online. It's going to cost money. But in the race period, the companies that can afford to not do it are going to have a huge advantage. And OpenAI is not one of those companies. They're burning through cash. So I don't know. I guess I'm more negative on it and on OpenAI in general. I just feel like I don't see, there's a lot of things. Like he had a similar quote about AI slot videos and Sora before they ended up doing it. Like all the principles they have just seem to happen right up until they need the money. Then they put out like a blog post like, well, we're going to do it creatively and smart. Then they plow right through. Then it doesn't really seem to work. Ads is the last resort. I'm sure this will make some money. I'm not doubting that, but is it going to make the billions they need? Is it going to pay for the 1.5 trillion in commitments?
I think that's the actual question, right? Is this step as their supposed last resort? Like I'm choosing to take what he said at face value, which implies that they haven't walked back anything. He explained the situation that they would need to do this, and now they're choosing to do it. The question is this enough to sustain the company's business going into the future?
Yeah.
And I have no idea. I guess it's like a wait and see, right?
Yeah. They're really, OpenAI is very interesting to watch, not only because ChatGPT is in the cultural zeitgeist, but also because they've been fairly consistently the ones who push out a thing first. They're the ones who pushed out, mainstream image generation first. They're, that really became popular and took on. Sora 2 is like the AI video generator that the average normie who doesn't follow AI knows. Yeah. They know what Sora is. They're like, there's compilations of funniest Sora videos on YouTube. They're the first ones that did deep research. They're the first ones that did personalization to you, where it like memorizes things about you and can reference them. And this is also where they're putting in the first step. Medical stuff. They're the first ones to like say, yeah, we're gonna give medical advice and embrace that, which is still feels crazy to me. So they seem to consistently be the ones who put themselves out there first with a new feature and deal with the ramifications. Yeah, it's like they are kind of the litmus test for the rest of the industry. I think how this goes is going to inform what Meta and Microsoft and Google and all these other places do. So I don't know. We'll see. It's strange. It's funny also, Sam Altman specifically mentioned the ads I like are on Instagram, where I found stuff I otherwise never would have. So it's funny you called out Instagram.
Yeah. That's even anecdotally in my own life, people have like a pretty positive, they talk pretty positively about Instagram ads specifically. And there's this like weird thing where it's like everybody hates advertisements until they like melt into the content you consume in a way that makes you want to buy the thing. Apparently this is a big issue on like TikTok right now, is how you're supposed to disclose that things are advertisements, but a ton of people on TikTok get ad deals for like certain products, and they just like, maybe I get a certain type of like makeup and I'm an influencer on TikTok, and I just like use the marked bottle of the thing and, put it on my face clearly in the video as I go about my normal day and I talk about the normal stuff that I talk about on my TikTok, right? But I'm getting paid to use that, and I'm actually not disclosing it, but I just use it all the time.
Yeah, no one discloses anymore.
And it's like dead. No one is like policing or regulating that, and it's like, and no one, but simultaneously nobody's complaining about it, and then they just maybe go and buy the thing. I think Instagram ads are like more obviously marked, but they're closer to that camp where it's like, I actually kind of wanted to see that product that is like so suited to my niche interest. And I wonder if it's like people will cave on this over time because it will surface things that people want so badly because of the information it has about you. I have no idea. We will see. But thank you for joining us on another week of Lemonade Stand. If you want to check out the extra episode we put out every week, you can go to patreon.com/lemonade stand, do an extra hour of the show every week. We also do a book club. I'm about to push out the first fully recorded interview that I didn't mess up for the year. I interviewed a Serbian protester and talked to him for over an hour. He showed me some like really interesting like footage, gave me some interesting insight into what's going on over there. I'm going to be putting that on like the second tier of our Patreon, like throughout the year, similar stuff like that. Yeah.
And related to ads, we are going to make a video talking in more depth about how we're thinking about sponsors and ads that we mentioned last week. If you would like more information about kind of what goes on behind the scenes with this type of stuff, we will post about that.
Yeah.
I think.
Also, to clarify, that'll be public. That won't be like paywalled or anything.
Yeah,
We might upload it on Patreon, but it will be something anybody can view. You don't have to pay to watch that.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Thanks for
see
watching,
you
guys. See you next week.
Bye.